Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Did You Know with MF3P. Whether you're buying or selling your home, Mike Fiscaldo's three principles are to protect, make, and save you money during your real estate transaction. Today, we're going to be discussing a winning listing strategy and the number one component of that strategy, which is staging. There are two acronyms that are used in the industry. It's SMP and LAC. SMP is staging, marketing, and price point. These three things we'll be covering, two of them in another episode. But the next acronym is LAC, location, availability, and condition. All of it starts with the condition of the home, which is staging. Today, we're joined by Linda Spears, and we'll introduce Linda in a moment. Linda is one of our team members. The real estate transactions are very intense. There's a lot of components to it. So we make sure that on our team, we have somebody that specializes in each component. Linda, good afternoon.
Well, good afternoon, Michael. Nice to see your face and Happy New Year. Just a little bit about myself. I've been working in real estate since the early 80s. And of course, I've been with RE/MAX for about 35 years here. I actually earned my staging certification back in the 80s. I'm sorry, back in the 90s, when the idea of staging was a brand new idea. And it does have a broad interpretation. You can take staging from the very easy, low-cost sweat equity version to the much more model home expensive version used in high-end properties and where all the furnishings are included. In recent years, actually, I found that some of the realtors in engaging the stagers would get the furnishings in the home and literally sell the home with the furnishings. It actually is a cost-saving benefit for the sellers. It's used a lot in the vacation rental market where it would be that second home or vacation home. Also very popular in our market, as fast-paced as it is, has been that virtual staging. It's easily done. It's very cost-effective. I know, Michael, you include that with everything that you do. If a house needs virtual staging, that's already included. But to get back to kind of some of the simple things that I do, and Michael and I coordinate on things that whether or not it's needed, but that the simple version of staging is really the most popular. And I kind of go by the 3Ds. And I know there's a screen, you've got the 3Ds up there for everybody. It's very easy. It's depersonalize, declutter, and deep clean. These 3Ds are very important, and it's something that as a homeowner, you can do it yourself. Remember, when you engage Michael in the selling of your home, what you're doing is asking for us to package the home for sale. So the packaging involving depersonalization, people want to see themselves in your home, which is why we take everything out that would be the personal photograph and family heirlooms and that stuff, because we want to have everything neutralized so that that buyer can see themselves in the home. Decluttering is taking all of the collection of stuff, and we all have it, myself included, that we need to take out of the rooms. Less is more. Those small furniture pieces, all those knickknacks that we've collected, everything in that kitchen counter and office, we need to declutter it. And after we finish with all of that, before we get that property on the market, we will deep clean the property. That's that white glove cleaning, everything about the property. But and that's one of those things that I say to a seller when we come in and critique the house. This is something that can be done in advance by the seller. I call it the sweat equity version. And so because the job is that we want to work closely with the clients to maximize the value, and that falls into the protect, maximize, and save. Buyers are visual. We've known this for decades. That's why model homes work, because buyers walk into a home and they need to be wowed emotionally by the home, and that's why the staging works. Just to give you an idea of some of the simple things on a couple of the houses that we've worked on to demonstrate that this is not difficult to do. I know there's another slide there that's got a couple of pictures there, but look at that kitchen. This is how a lot of us live. I mean, we've got the things on the countertop. We're in the middle of a lot of stuff that we're working on, but we took that kitchen and unweighted everything, took all the unnecessary things off the counter, and didn't have to spend any money. That's what the kitchen looked like. The one below with the kids' bedrooms, this was actually a grandparent's house, and they had the bedrooms for the grandchildren. So we unweighted everything, put it away, even to go into your closets and things and unweight them. Buyers want to see that they have the space for their things. That next slide that has the living room in there, just the repositioning of things, where you've got that family room there, unweighting the family room and repositioning the furniture so that it looks big. That master bedroom, to be able to take away the office look. Every room in a house should be defined. You should walk into the room and know what its use is. And make your bedroom feel like a sanctuary. So that's kind of the things that I call that they're no cost or low cost. And it can be done in advance. The paint colors and keeping everything neutral. If we, that neutral palette sells. I know that the grays are quite in, but on the other hand, if your house has the undertones of all the beiges, we can work with that. Keep it all that neutral look. Not busy at all. We want to help with the room flow of everything. To have your house in model home condition takes some work. And the word model home is a subjective, broad term. This house here where we redid the family room, it's their furniture. We just unweighted it, took a few things out, and the home looks more like a model home. And for every client out there that wonders why these are successful and / necessary, is I'd like you to go to a model home as if you were a buyer. Go to those new home tracks and see what they do in model homes. I promise you that if the builder did not have to spend the money, if he could sell an open a floor plan with nothing in it, that they would save the money and sell it. But they know better. They know that emotion sells, and having a home that the buyer can walk in and feel themselves and open up things and see the space and appreciate the space, that home will sell. So I do find that the clients are very pleasantly surprised when we first meet, because I outline the quick and easy, cost-effective things to do to spruce up your house, unweight your house, the 3Ds. And they find that it's not expensive, because the word staging conjures up lots of money, and it doesn't have to be. So I outline the cost-effective things to do, or the small repairs. I would counsel any homeowner out there to go through their house as if they were the inspector, and open and close windows, turn on faucets, fix those small things, paint the front door, look at your curb appeal. And we can help you with the numerous vendors that we have, whether it's painters, cleaners, an estate sale person, to help get through all of that. And then once we go through the house, after we've accomplished all this stuff, then we will work on that pricing strategy. Now, I know in working with Michael on the past several years on these things, that reducing the stress is very important when you're selling a property. So I'm part of that team that's going to help you reduce the stress, do things in advance, engage Michael within that 30 to 60 days. I've actually had upwards to 6 months, but engage him ahead of time so that we can have a plan of attack. And then once you've got your target date set, we'll work towards that. And then we can do the pricing strategy. And Michael's always, I know you always are on top of things. If the market is changing, we try to speed up the timeline or slow it down, whatever the market situation is. But you want your client to, we want our sellers to have their best foot forward. Always first impressions are the best impressions. Is there anything else, Michael, that you need me to cover, or that you feel that the
You,
audience would want?
you covered a tremendous amount of information in a very short period of time. And I'd like to just go back to a couple of the things. The very basic thing when you decide that you want to list or sell your home is to develop that timeline that you're looking for. Everything comes off of the timeline. As we've discussed in other episodes, as a listing agent, the skill set is, I call it the 3 N's. Network, navigation, and negotiation. Then the marketing and social media presence. Well, we're going to cover 2 right now, which is the network. The amount of project management skills necessary to sell your home that we provide is just immeasurable. We're able to take what can be a very stressful time and make it very simple because we do it so often. We have a network
We've got that connection with all of these different vendors. Remember, some of the older people we work with do not have the ability to move things around and pack things up. Well, we've got people that can help.
Yeah, we got people. We actually work with a local high school here for some of the lighter, unskilled requirements to teach them the whole responsibility of having a job and that type of thing, all the way up to some of the biggest vendors to do ADUs and the likes. From a basic, there are a couple of sayings. What is it? A can of paint is money in a can.
Absolutely.
Is one of the most beneficial things you can do. I think the last house I did was 2 months ago, and it cost $3,800 to completely paint the interior of their house, less the doors. If you paint the doors at the same time you paint the walls, you're looking at almost double the cost. These are the type of things that, because we're dealing with painters all the time, we're able to very quickly give you estimates that are, one of the things that I pride myself on is being between 3 and 5% of my estimates. So the one thing that you did mention, everything starts with the curb appeal. The curb appeal being paint the front door. Okay, that's one of the biggest components that a lot of people and some reps miss, is just the way that the door opens, just the way that the locks work. All these little details change it. But the true first impression is the pictures. Now, we can't do the pictures until we do the staging, which leads me to the next component of, if you're selling your home, whether it's going to be occupied at the time or you're going to have it empty. Okay, obviously, if it's an empty home, it's much easier to stage. Number one, we could do virtual staging. One of the things we found successful, I think, in August with 2 properties, we actually did 3 versions of a virtual stage.
I remember that, yes.
Remember the one that we put together? And at first we said, well, why are we doing 3 versions? Because there are people out there that like more of the modern versus the contemporary versus the traditional. And when we did the open house, as opposed to going through the expense of actually furnishing the home, we simply had 3 different setups of pictures in the living room. One was more of a traditional, one was more of a contemporary type view. And by allowing them to see the different styles that this framework, this picture frame, could be painted into, it turned, I think we accepted offers in 2 days on Tuesday after our first showing on a Saturday morning. So a lot of what the staging components come down to is what your timing is number one, whether or not you're going to be in the home or not. And then the third is your price point. If you're at the lower side of the price point, you're not going to want to invest in a very expensive staging scenario. If you're in a 2 million plus home, you might want to consider, okay, let's do a complete staging of this home, because based on the percentages, to completely furnish a home might be advantageous to the price. And
Absolutely.
okay, and these are the type of things that really come down to the overall plan versus a cookie cutter approach, staging in one manner. It's what is going to be best for you in that micro market. What do the homes look like in your price point this week, today, and what they're going to look like in the next week or two, or the time that you actually list your property. So all of these considerations are really part of the overall program that we put together, that we lay out in an 8-week marketing plan that we put together and we provide you during our listing presentation. One of the things that also came up when we started discussing this conversation today is how important is the kitchen when you're
Very.
and in light of the past 4 or 5 years, especially with what went on with COVID, the home office is almost an essential room in today's environment. In the past, with staging, we always said only have one purpose for a particular room.
Yeah.
In today's day and age, you might have to, depending on how many bedrooms you have, you might have to use a dual purpose for a particular room. A lot of people will have their guest room second as an office. So these are all the things that are really based on another very interesting component is your living room. One of the things that you taught me very early on is your living room should have one more chair than the number of bedrooms. So if you have a 4-bedroom house, you want to have a 5 chair type living.
It's seating area for 5. Yeah.
Exactly. So,
No pool tables in the living room.
well, exactly, or at least not when we're selling your property.
Yeah.
Once you put it in. The other component that we go into, and this goes back to our network, those little repairs, that little squeaky door, that loose hinge, all those type of things are so important because you don't want to give them, I call them landmines, where you walk into a house and they said, well, does the air conditioner work? And you turn it on and it doesn't work. These little type components, we have a very extensive checklist to make sure that all those little handyman things, and I think, Linda, you've seen the back of my truck.
Well, and like we say in the staging end of it, in my side of the business is we sell the home twice. First, you sell it emotionally, that virtual, the online and the pictures, and then you're showing the property, and you sell the home emotionally. Then you sell it a second time when they do the inspections. So the best outcome is when the buyer is so happy with the home, and now they're doing the inspections and they're patting themselves on the back because the home really is as good as they felt it was, rather than having this, oh my God, it just looked good. There's nothing that's working in this house. So all those little things, and I really do counsel, I know you do, that you counsel your sellers, whether with your assistants or your handyman people, to go through the house as you would an inspector and to do all the small stuff so it never comes up. I mean, how wonderful is it when the buyer feels that they've bought the best operational house out there? It's the best looking and everything about it is in great condition. They're happy now.
Yeah, it's amazing. We had one client this year that had 2 homes that they were selling. And when we started working with them, they gave us a timeline. It was a very stringent timeline. It was workable, but very stringent because they were moving out of state. And the funds needed to be necessary to help to keep in pace with their renovations and the completion of their construction of their other home. With that particular case, what we did, it took the staging to a whole nother level in that we not only staged, but we went in and did inspections on both properties prior to even listing the property. And we don't recommend that for everybody, but based on this particular client, he said, I want to know ahead of time everything that's going to come up, which we always promote. And in doing so, we were able to, before we listed the property, correct, I would say 80 to 90% of all of the issues. And then we disclosed during the sale process those one or two things that was still left out so that it didn't become part of the negotiation. Because
Absolutely.
it was already known. And that goes back to the 3 N's: network, navigation, and negotiations. So we always try to take those components. You can break up the sale of your home or buying of a home into many different components. There's 2 parts of any program that you put together. One is design, the other is execute. We drill down, we do discovery, design, plan, and implement. This allows us to make sure that your expectations are exceeded, not met, but exceeded. And that's really why our clients, and I think you told me once, if the seller or buyer thinks that I really worked hard, then we didn't do our job right. So you probably said it a little bit more eloquently than I did.
Yeah, but it's the same thing. Yeah, it's the same thing.
Yeah. So I want to thank you very much. I guess to sum it up, it's declutter, deep clean, depersonalize. I think that one of the things we might not have mentioned is pets. Although pets are great to have in your family, it's something that you don't want your house to exude about pets. You want to make sure that you declutter anything having to do with your pets. It's not something that everybody likes. Religious information, purchasing pictures, family pictures, those type of things. So depersonalize is probably the biggest component. Linda, I think we covered the primary components. Obviously, it's the difference between a cook and a chef. Okay, it's that little bit of extra that when we're going through the process, and that's why we really pride ourselves on having a servant's heart and trying to address and foresee every possibility.
And Michael, that's why I've always focused on and and encouraged people that if they believe they are going to be selling their house within the next 6 months, is no harm, no foul. Just have us over. Let's talk about it. And let's see what we can do to help you and get ready. And to Michael's point, establish what your goals are so that we can always exceed your expectations.
Well, with that, Linda, thank you very much for joining us. Thank you, everybody else, for joining the podcast. We look forward to the next Did You Know version, probably be out in the next week or so, and make it a fantastic 2024. And we've included a complete home staging guide in the link below. Of course, if you like this video, please like, share, and follow us on all the social media platforms. Do look forward to seeing you again.
Absolutely. Take care. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Bye-bye now.